Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. We are back again, and today we are specifically going to be looking at the said uh, five top five states that are very critical in for the Republicans in keeping the United States Senate in 2026. And to make it clear, like I have made it clear many times, the Senate's going to be Republican. There's no way and no real example on why and how the Senate will be Democrat. It's going to be Republican. And we know this because there are limited paths for Democrats and really no paths for Democrats. And I'm not going to pull up the map again. And for those, the point is we have the seats. Ideally, Democrats need 4 seats in order to take the Senate. What are they going to flip? All we have here to take from are red states. You got to try to get Florida, Texas, Ohio, and maybe Maine. And not even that, that would be a 50-50 split. They would have to come lucky in Alaska. So they have a lot to do, and they're not going to do it. They're not going to win the Senate, period. And at this rate, the Democratic Party right now, they're not winning it at all. So we are taking a look at basically 5 states that are the most important states for Republicans, or not just Republicans, but for everyone. The 5 most crucial and most important states in the Senate races to watch. And we're going to go over them, starting off with number 5, and that is the state of Maine. Now, Maine, all the way on the tippy top, is a battleground state now in 2026, specifically because looking at 2020, you'll see that Susan Collins, incumbent, came very close. I mean, polls were saying that she would lose. I mean, take a look here. By average, Real Clear Politics was saying this would be a Gideon win by 6.5. 270 to win said this would be a Gideon win by 3.8. Every poll had Sarah Gideon, the Democratic nominee, winning and trouncing Susan Collins. People said this race was over, and I would believe it. Take a look at these predictions. Well, the polls, and I would say they were a solid Democrat for the most part. But the actual results showed polls way off. Susan Collins won re-election by 8 points. This was an absolute wipeout. You'll see Sarah Gideon only won 2 counties. The most liberal one of them all. We can actually pull up the county map here. Grid here. Okay, yeah. Overseas votes. Those were the most liberal. 72% for Sarah Gideon. Cumberland County, 54%. Knox County, 47%. It didn't help that you had Lisa Savage and Max Lynn, who are independents, taking votes away from Gideon. So absolutely, this was critical. And I would imagine those independents are liberals. You see the lighter red here, or yeah, you have York County, Hancock County, those counties down over here in Maine. They are a little lighter. They're a little bit more liberal. But of course, that's how it tend to be. And I would imagine a senator that originally won re-election 6 years ago by 68% to get re-elected pretty easily in 2020. Look at this. This is Olive's county. She won every county, carrying half the state, half of the counties by 70%, half the counties by 60%. Why do they like Susan Collins so much? She's a liberal. She identifies as a liberal. She is more of a moderate. She is the thorn inside of the Senate GOP, but sometimes, she comes from a blue state, being the state of Maine. Maine, if it weren't for Susan Collins, would have a Democrat right now, and she's the reason why we have 53 Senate seats, and really, the Senate is not really up for contestation and control because Susan Collins is in there. So I really don't like Susan Collins. Can't stand her. But in this series of races, we got to stand with Susan Collins. I mean, I don't want to say stand with her, but help her. Okay? We can do it with an attitude or something like that. But you can roll your eyes about it. But if we lose Maine, then that puts the Senate up for contestation in 2028. That means, hey, you know what? If we keep Maine and all this, expand the Senate, then Democrats can't win the Senate in 2028. If we lose Maine, Democrats gain a seat some way, somehow. This means the Senate is up for contestation in 2028. So it's a little math over there. Polls and predictions are already saying this is a leaning Republican. I'm kind of not so sure. This is a state that I would call a defensive state. This is a state that Republicans really need to go and play the defensive in. So the Democrats, they're going to try to get into Maine. And that's why it's kind of at the bottom of the list. Republicans have a better chance at keeping Maine, other than the rest of the battleground states. It really does depend. But a prediction on what this would look like, for my early prediction, a leaning Republican prediction, I would describe Susan Collins. Okay, first of all, I think these counties right here, the blue counties in blue, they're going for the Democrat, whoever that may be. Yeah, you'll see. Look at that. Leaning Democrat, tilting Democrat. Wow. It's insane how bad the polls are. And that's it. If whoever the Democratic nominee, the thing is, polls show Susan Collins to be very unpopular among her own people in Maine and her own constituents. But I think just like Trump, the polls underestimate Susan Collins' popularity. And ultimately, I do think she's more popular than what people make her seem. But you can clearly see here, I would say Sac and not this county right here would probably go to the Maine, the Democrat column, or whatever that would be. York County, maybe. Well, York County is pretty populated. That's the other thing. Counties in Maine, because we got to realize the population. They do that can sway it the other way. Counties of Maine. Okay, yeah, it's the second most populated county. If we give York County to the said Democrat, that could mean this would be more of a tilting result for Republicans. But I would say this is my prediction as of right now. My hypothetical prediction, probably just it's really just Collins versus the average Democrat, whoever that may be at the moment. But this is pretty much what it's looking like right now. 3 counties for Democrats, 13 counties for Collins. I do think that Republicans do have a chance, although, hey, it's true. Collins, 2020, I don't know. She is generally, it's kind of surprising. She did get pretty unpopular very fast within that second term. 2008, yeah, that's not her second term, but yeah, she's been in the Senate for a very, very long time. Democrats are going to try to get rid of her. But yeah, I do think Collins does have the support of independents and moderates. And whoever that Democrat will be, file paperwork. Natasha Akala. Okay, for sure. She's beatable. She's so unrecognizable. She's beatable. Otherwise, you have these big name people, Jared Golden and Troy Jackson, Janet Mills, and Shelley Pengry. They're big name people, and you gotta be wary towards that. So this is pretty much the state of Maine. Our second state, on number 4 on our top 4 list, is going to be the state of New Hampshire. Now, New Hampshire is actually much of a more competitive than the state of Maine. You may actually think it is, because you got the big gal, Jean Shaheen. She's out. She kept New Hampshire very blue, as you can clearly see. 56%. She was the governor of New Hampshire, and she won the state by 60%. So obviously, we would have a difficult time beating her in 2026 if she was running, but now she's out of the picture. And Democrats, although they do have a couple names, like they have Chris Pappas, which he's likely to run, and you got, of course, Annie Custer, who won't run if Pappas runs. So either way, it probably you probably won't see a Custer-Pappas runoff. But those are the two Democrats that Democrats are really looking at replacing in the Senate. Meanwhile, Republicans have Scott Brown, the guy that I do not want in this race, mainly because, he lost before and he will run again. And it's a risk. And ideally, we have the solution right here. And his name's Chris Sununu. Very popular. You're already seeing polls already coming out. Chris Sununu slamming Chris Pappas by a good margin, 53% to 44%. Those numbers, if we go to Chris Sununu here, 2016 gubernatorial race. Okay, so yeah, close results there. 2018. Okay, this is very similar results. Let's see the most similar result in the 2024 gubernatorial. Well, let's just jump an election over. 2024. Yeah, you'll see it kind of will look like something like this. Kind of what my prediction would look like right now. Let's poll, if it is correct, 53% for Sununu, Chris Pappas 44%. This is probably the result you are looking at. A very easy win. And that's if you get Chris Sununu there. And ideally, this really wouldn't be a compatible or a battleground, ideally. Because the idea is that Sununu's going to win handily. He is a very well-respected senator, governor, well-approved, very popular with Republicans. Yeah, so is Chris Pappas. And ideally, this will be that race where, yeah, you're going to see a Chris Sununu-like performance. Not going to be like a 56 performance, but this is still a very good performance. It's still going to be very close, but it's not going to be battleground state close. That is the difference. Look at this. 82% in a 2020 poll between Chris Sununu and Karen Testerman. That's huge. That is huge. That's like a landslide. Yeah, there's absolutely like 79%. Poll was saying 82%. Yeah, he's very well liked. He comes from the popular Sununu family, which governed New Hampshire for a very long time. So, and not just, I believe his father was a senator. I don't know. But he's very moderate in some cases. All right. The third state, number 3, is Michigan. We zoomed right up on it. And that state is kind of going to be interesting. I'd imagine it to be more difficult. Why do I think it's going to be more difficult? Mainly because, sure, it's labeled as a toss-up, but in this case, it mainly has to do with, okay, yeah, you look at this. Okay, this is Republican primary polling. Tudor Dixon's beating Mike Rogers. I don't want Tudor Dixon. I mean, she ran her race. She ran it very badly. I don't want her to run again. And it's showing, polls are showing her losing, and I don't want that. But looking here clearly, I think Pete Buttigieg has ruled out a Senate run. Declined. Yeah, Buttigieg has declined, so we cannot count polls involving him. But like Gretchen Whitmer would be bad. Okay, Gretchen Whitmer running in this race would be bad. Period. And let's see. Yeah, Rashida Tlaib would be a gift for Republicans. Yeah, Rashida Tlaib, please run. We need you, Rashida. You gotta fight for Palestine. Run for this Senate seat. You have the current Attorney General, Dana Nessel. She would be a concern. She is pretty strong. She did run in a said seat for the Attorney General. She won handingly. You also have Kristen McDonald Rivet. The announcement pending would be Mallory McMorrow, who's a state senator from the 8th District. I think she's beautiful. Beautiful. What? I think she's beatable. What the heck? Okay, that was so weird. I think she's beatable. Not beautiful. Although, I have no problem with her. I think she's beatable. Mainly because she's a state senator. She hasn't run in that large race. And it's usually these folks that ran in that large race that has had their name flown around across the state that, okay, they're recognizable. And we've already seen their performances statewide. And we already know, okay, this might not look best in our interest if they run. So, yeah, I would be like, okay, if McMorrow runs. The announcement pending, like for Mike Rogers, so like a Mike Rogers versus a McMorrow race, I would definitely see like Mike Rogers winning that race, specifically because no one really knows who McMorrow is. Just a state senator. I mean, state senators don't really win, and state senators don't beat congressmen. Period. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Congressmen from the United States House of Representatives tend to defeat state legislators. Why? Especially in the Senate race, because they are the most experienced. They're the closest to the Senate office, and they're the closest to Washington. So it makes sense for the congressman from Washington, mainly District of Columbia, to run, become the next senator than the congressman or the state legislature from Lansing, Michigan. It makes total sense. So if this was a McMorrow-Rogers race, this is what I would imagine would look like. I think Macomb County would be enough to actually project and elevate Mike Rogers to victory. You have Macomb County boost the turnout in that state, in that county. Like, getting it to 60%. If Macomb gets 60% for Republicans, you know Republicans are winning for sure. Grand Traverse County, don't know why. It's pretty liberal. It's mediocre conservative up there. I would say Saginaw County. Yeah, I think it would look like this. Very similar to the 2024 presidential election results, if not the same. This is probably what we're looking at if this were Rogers versus McMorrow. Which, hey, I would like to have that scenario. This would be pretty easy. This would be I never support Republicans going easy or throwing their legs up in the air and say, let's chillax. No, but we can never let your guards down. But hey, you can put one leg up in the air. I want that. Put one leg and just enjoy the air. And just yeah, it would be pretty easy winning Michigan because benefits Mike Rogers. He's a United States congressman. He's from the United States House of Representatives, former congressman. That does give him a little difficulty, but the results, they did show Mike Rogers, this was a pretty close race. Sure, this was the Trump effect. This was a cocktail effect being delivered by Donald Trump. Sure. And it may be a little bit closer, but he is the most experienced in this point of scenario. But besides, Slotkin, of course, polls have underestimated Mike Rogers completely. As you can clearly see, Mike Rogers never really won a poll other than that October poll. That was the latest win for him. But you can clearly see that Slotkin has held a dominant majority, and we kind of knew she would win, but overall she underperformed massively of what the polls had told her that she would do. And obviously, I think that's in good benefit for the Mr. Rogers, and that would probably give him victory, if I am not mistaken. Yes. Okay, that is number 3. Number 2. I don't know where my brain is. It's going to be the state of North Carolina. Now, North Carolina is all the way up to number 2. It must be an interesting race. Well, it is kind of interesting because we're talking about a pretty unpopular congressman, a pretty unpopular senator. What? Who is this unpopular senator? Tom Tillis. And Tom Tillis is an interesting figure. There's hope for him because everyone thought Tom Tillis was done and over in 2020, as Kyle Cunningham was viewed as the favorite to win this election. You can clearly see Cunningham holding a big majority in the lead in polling. But just a couple days, weeks before the race, Cunningham was caught I don't know, it was committing a sexual act, which turned off half of his women base, and obviously it hurt him with women, etc. And some say it was because of this that Tillis managed to squeeze it. It was pretty close. 2014, he ran in 2014, and you can clearly see it's a 2-point win for Tillis. He's not really the strongest candidate. That's the other thing. I mean, yeah, Kay Hagan, she was pretty popular. In 2002, she defeated Elizabeth Dole, who was also pretty popular. Kay Hagan, though, won handily due to the Obama cocktail effect. 2014, she was defeated. Red Wave. I would say a Republican cocktail. In 2020, though, everyone thought that a Biden cocktail would get Kyle Cunningham in, but Cunningham did his own dumb business, and this Tillis managed to win. Perhaps Tillis is much stronger than what we actually think, and now he's kind of seeing the writing on the wall. He's like, shoot, I shouldn't have marched with the BLM. I shouldn't have done that, and I probably should have been more conservative. Yes, you should, Mr. Tillis, because you're in a red state. You're in a swing state. And when you run as a rhino, you think, oh, this is going to get me more independence. Sure, yeah, maybe. But actually, this is going to keep Republican Trump-based voters at home. And in a state like North Carolina, you got to get those people out and voting. That's just the truth. You need those Trump Republicans that are those, obviously, the white non-college graduates tend to be more pro-Trump, along with the college graduates. I wouldn't say they're pro-Trump, but they're in that Republican area. You got to get them out and voting. And you don't want to upset those voters. And I think, personally, Tillis does have a chance in getting reelected 2026. Let's see what the polls have to say. Yes, it's saying leaning Republican. Current polls are saying, yeah, Roy Cooper is defeating Tillis quite handily. This is if Roy Cooper were to run, and Roy Cooper would beat Laura Trump. That's the other concerning thing. So publicly expressed. So it's going to be hard if Roy Cooper runs. And that's why I'm very concerned. If Roy Cooper runs in this race, then it's over. I mean, it's over. Like, look at this map. 100% clear blue sweep. This was from the 2012 Attorney General's race. But hey, he was running unopposed. But no dumb Republican won't actually challenge him. That's the point. You look at 2008 Attorney General's race. Clear sweep. So he's clearly the Andy Beshear of North Carolina. You have 2016. 2016, it was close. But hey, he beat Pat McCrory, and Pat McCrory wasn't really good. He was an unpopular governor, but I guess he had the incumbent advantage. Then you got 2020, and of course, Cooper got reelected pretty easily due to the Biden cocktail. So yeah, Cooper never actually lost a race. That is a scary reality. And if Cooper were to run, you can clearly say, see right here, going here, Democrats publicly expressed interest. Cooper, Roy Cooper, former governor of North Carolina, and Willie Nickel, the U.S. representative from North Carolina's 13th district, is saying leaning Republican for now. But let's just say if a likely scenario, Roy Cooper runs, and it's a Tillis versus Cooper scenario, this is what it could look like. You'll see this map for sure. Scotland County is a bellwether. Democrats can't win without it. We notice every time a Democrat wins, they usually carry Scotland County. You got these counties, the African American Black Belt. You got the Raleigh area, even though that's mostly rural, African American countryside. But yes, this is what we're kind of looking. This is, you could say, kind of looks like this. Looking at 2020 once again. Yeah, we can actually pull up the 2020 map for North Carolina, which was way better than 2024. My goodness. You can, yeah. Comparing these maps, this is Republican victory, Democrat victory. Republican, yeah, you'll see these counties right here. They're 60%. They go to 50%. You'll see more counties shift from 70 to 60% in 2020. In the gubernatorial race, same deal. 60 to 50% in the gubernatorial race also. As it used to be pretty, oh yeah, you got Lenoir County went to, what's his name? So that's interesting. Let's take a look at counties. Do we have county results? We should. We have hypothetical polling, but we don't have county results. That's annoying. But I'll tell you right now. I will say, let's give that county, Lenoir, Scotland. This is 2020, the gubernatorial race going back to 2026. Okay. Hypothetical polling. I would describe by average this to be a +3. Okay? Cooper's victory in 2020, I would say, is a +4. Let's see. Yeah, 4.51. That was almost 5 points. But obviously, it would be much closer compared to 2020 gubernatorial race, so don't think it's going to look like this. I would imagine it would be kind of close. I do think Scotland County would go, Lenore County maybe. But yeah, something sort of like this on the lines would be kind of my expectation. If Cooper were to run, he would probably win. Cooper victory, you can clearly see Mecklenburg County, 60%. Democrats don't need to get that up to 70. That's kind of ironic, isn't it? Well, that's because they have these areas like Orange County. No, that's Durham. Orange, 70%. Durham, 80%. Let's take a look at 2020 in the victory for, it's the same. Really, it's Durham County getting more bluer. 80%. That really did benefit Governor Cooper, while 70% for Durham County for Democrats did benefit the senator. Also, this county, Buncombe County, I want to believe this is 60%. And it's went to 60% for Kamala Harris this time around. So it's going to be difficult. As we're assuming now that's going to be the new position. But you also got these counties. So it's the counties here getting more darker. African-American voters, they're getting these counties that traditionally vote to African-American, they're getting more darker. They really like Governor Cooper. That's what we're noticing here. But if we're getting a result, it would probably look similar to something like this. This is kind of I'm not kind of mediocre about it, but a sort of 3-point victory for the Democrat, unless we find a couple other, like 24 North Carolina Council of State elections, those state elections, Lieutenant Governor. Yeah, you'll see Rachel Hunt managed to win. This is an example. Yeah, Lenore. This was a 1.89%. Yeah, you say New Hanover gets a little bit bigger. Yeah, I would say it would look something like that. But let's jump to our last state, and that's obviously, you're probably assuming it's the state of Georgia, and hey, you're right, it's the state of Georgia. But not necessarily, don't get your hopes up. I haven't checked Georgia recently. Let's hope we're getting good returns there due to polls. Okay, no real toss-up. General elections toss. Okay, this is gubernatorial. What am I talking about? Senate. There we go. All right. Hypothetical polling. This is labeled a toss-up, battleground. Yeah, you'll see Brian Kemp. He is defeating John Ossoff. We really need Brian Kemp to run. I mean, I am not kidding. You start to get pretty concerned. You got John Ossoff. He's already said, I'm running for re-election. It's going to be hard to defeat him. John Ossoff is very popular, very well liked in Georgia. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, but he managed to win. He managed to squeeze it out in 2020. It was low turnout, yada, yada, yada. Although that's part of the reason why he won in 2020, right? I mean, Republicans didn't want to go out and vote. Well, yeah, look at the turnout, dropped 61.5%. That's crazy, right? And we might have a chance of squeezing it out. But, like I said with Wisconsin, low turnout does benefit Republicans in the state of Georgia. Like in 2024, the Supreme Court race, was Republicans won double digits there, and they won that Supreme Court seat because specifically there was low turnout. Like, let's pull that up again. Georgia judicial elections, perfect. See this race here. It was a huge win. You got Jeff Davis. He was the conservative. He was from the Court of Appeals, 57%. He only got 630,000 votes. The Democrat, Tabitha Ponder, 474,000 voters. They didn't show up. They didn't vote, really. I don't know if they didn't advertise the race. Ideally, the reason why I would say Ossoff won in this very low turnout race, this was the topic of discussion for a very long time after 2020 and going into the new year of 2021. They were talking about, who's going to control the Senate? Are Democrats going to control the Senate? That got people going out and voting. And you would say majority of Democrats saying, hey, look, my party could take control of the Senate. They flocked to the polls, and there you go. It was a very tight result. Yes, Jon Ossoff is much weaker compared to Raphael Warnock, and that's the benefit. But he is still well-liked. He still has a good approval rating. We're not doubting that. And there is a chance that the polls that are being shown right in front of us are just skewed. They're just wrong. Brad Raffensperger, is he really losing to Jon Ossoff by double digits? You'll see clearly a poll taken earlier this month showed Jon Ossoff and a generic Republican being tied. Okay, that's beneficiary. Jon Ossoff and Buddy Carter. I have a hard time believing Buddy Carter is that unpopular to beat Jon Ossoff, but who knows? I cannot believe them. I will believe the Margie Taylor Greene poll for whatever, but John King and the two Johns, John King and Jon Ossoff. To me, I don't think it's going to be much closer than that. Same deal with Ossoff and Mike Collins. Much closer than that. Ossoff versus Rick McCormick. Much closer than that. I mean, seriously. And it's just better just to get Brian Kemp on board, because now we don't have to worry about these just diluted polls where you're having Jon Ossoff win a double-digit majority. Like, when does that ever happen? So it's best, and it's better to just have, let's see here. It's probably going to be an hour video. It's 37 minutes, but we'll see how we got. Let's just go ahead and pull up Cook Political Report. Use the demographic swing-o-meter, and then we can go over and check my work in North Carolina, because I want to use the swing-o-meter to the advantage. It shouldn't take a while. Let's see. Georgia. All right. So this is by average. Let's check if publicly expressed. Brian Kemp has not expressed to run. Margie Taylor Greene did. And I don't have a problem with Margie. I don't. It's just same deal with Tudor Dixon. We don't want to risk it. Okay, she has a low approval rating. Let's not go with her. You got Mike Collins. What's the better opportunity? I would say Buddy Carter. Is Buddy Carter running, though? I think Buddy Carter is. No, he isn't. Declined. Republicans, Public Express. So we'll just say it's a Carter versus Ossoff race. And we're specifically looking at this poll. This is ridiculous. So supposedly, by average, Ossoff is defeating Carter. Okay, this is a 45 to 32% poll win. 13 points. Apply and add that to 47. So this is like a 7 point. So yeah, Carter is gaining in the polls ideally. So I would say 8.5 points. But I would say 13. I would say it's a 9-point win. A 9. So, Ossoff was just very irrelevant. But I'm just putting this into the register so I know what so I don't forget what number by margin we're doing. So this is a Democrat plus 9 scenario, which I think is hilarious and will not happen. So we don't have to worry about this. This is very unrealistic, if you will. But this is already a 12-point Democrat. You'll see the black belt has been connected. I do think it's unrealistic. Like, let's just say set it drops to 70%. How about that? 70% for white turnout. So it's 7.3% for Democrat advantage. This is basically Ossoff counties. You got college counties, 56% Republican. African American, maybe leave it to 90% 3. Okay, so it's already at 9 point. But let's just go ahead. I want to give white 1 county, 1 point, 72, 73%. Okay. Shoot, I gave him a little too much. African American, let's go ahead. Okay, there we go. It would look something similar to like this. This is a 9-point win. It's a little distorted, but whatever. This is what we got. This is Ossoff counties. This is what would look the Looney Tunes scenario. So yeah, Ossoff would be winning Fayette by 2.7%. That's crazy. That's a Republican county. Cobb is solid blue. Fulton's solid for sure. Gwinnett's solid. There's no flip in those counties. You also have those counties over here. This county, Chatham, Cocoche, whatever, that's somewhat African American. That's tilting. But this is what I'm thinking would look like. Yeah, he would even flip back Burke. 7 points in Burke. Well, Raphael Warnock's more popular than that. Like, this is insane. This is not going to happen, period. So, guys, don't freak out over this. This is so hilarious that, like, serious. This is, like, a low turnout. And, like, it's not like Republicans, like, Democrats, they don't show up anyway in low turnout elections in Georgia. I've already showed you an example of what it looked like when Democrats don't show up. You get a 2024 May scenario. That's what you get. But this is the polling, what the polling is suggesting in this said race right now. This is not my prediction. This is my replication of the polling. I honestly think Ossoff, it's kind of tossed up. We got to get ourselves together first in Georgia, and then we really need to figure out who's the nominee. Is Brian Kemp running or not? He hasn't even said he was. He never said he wasn't. He's sitting down in his desk pondering. He needs to come up with a decision. You got to pick the right one. But this is what polls are saying right now. This is an Ossoff victory scenario. Pretty scary, but this is a landslide. A mandate, but yes. Let's go back to the state of North Carolina using the swing-o-meter this time. We said it would be a Cooper plus 3. What would a Cooper plus 3 be like? 70. Yeah, this is 1% already. White non-college student, maybe. African American, let's see, it goes up by 1. Hispanic and Latino, 7. There we go. Asian or other. Okay, this is pretty much the scenario. And it looks the same. Actually does look the same. It's actually exactly the same. Lenoir County, 1.9. Martin County, somewhat African American, 0.4. You got Pasquotank, 5.4%. Nash County, 5.5. There was old Scotty, Scotland County, 3%. But yeah, that's kind of my view. And there's no doubt about it, looking at Michigan, that we would get a result very similar to the map. Like, this was supposedly a, let's see. What's polling telling us right now? Well, I don't think polling is telling us anything. And if polling isn't telling us anything, I think our prediction is pretty good the way it is. But we can go ahead and check. From my point of view, I don't think we got polling from Michigan. No, we do not. All right, so this is pretty much our prediction. Our top 5 Senate seats that we need to look at in the Senate races. That is the most important one, Georgia, which looks very distorted. North Carolina, which is a defensive state, a state we need to defend. Michigan, that is an offensive state. We need to go on the offensive in Michigan. Georgia's also an offensive state. We need to go on the offensive there. New Hampshire, an offensive state. And the state of Maine, that is a defensive state. We need to defend because we have the seat there. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.